हे गाइस वेलकम बैक टू आवर चैनल। बहुत लोगों ने हमें बहुत सारे दिनों से इनफैक्ट महीनों से लोग बोल रहे हैं कि आप कोई ऐसा इंटरव्यू करो जिनके बच्चे हैं, दे हैव चिल्ड्रन। सो आज हमने चांदनी को इनवाइट करा है एंड शी विल बी टॉकिंग एंड शी इनफैक्ट हैज टू किड्स। So she'll be talking about the experience of sending her son to a school and how they did the research. And her younger daughter is in fact 8 months old, so she goes to a daycare, तो वो भी एक experience आपको पता चल जाएगा. And by end of this video I hope you'll understand, if you have kids, have a fair understanding of where to research, what to research, and क्या क्या चीजें हमें देखनी चाहिए when you are coming here with kids. I hope this video helps you. So Chandni, thank you so much for coming on the channel. And there's one thing that has never happened on this channel, and that is we have never talked about kids because we don't have any. And you are kind of the perfect person to do that because you have two kids. Over to you. Just introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll start with the interview.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on this channel. It's one of the personal channel that my family follows because we kind of moved around the same time. A little bit about myself. I am a chartered accountant from India. I was in US with my husband from the last 8 years. We recently moved to Canada on PR in March of this year, right around the start of COVID. And yes, like you said, I have two small kids. I have an elder son who is going to be 5 this month.
Okay.
And my daughter is 8 months old. They both have been born in US and they are in this transition process as the family settles down in Canada.
So let's move on to the school part. Your son, he's 5. So I know that there is COVID right now. So how are you figuring out school?
Unlike in India and a few other places, in North America, the way schooling works is that the schools are assigned based on your home address. So let's
Acha.
talk about the type of schools that you have access to. One is the public school, which is owned and operated by the government, which is accessible and free to all public.
Mhm.
The second is private schools, when it's a personal choice that you make for your kids for any reason that suits you. The third is the Catholic schools, which are for primary and elementary and middle school is for only Catholic students. High school onward is accessible to all.
Okay.
And third is French immersion. As we know, French is the second language in Canada. So the fourth, or rather the last option is the French immersion, where French is the first language and it's taught in French.
Okay.
So my kid being 5, I opted for public school for him.
So how do you choose, like which one to go for? I understand the private schools are off this list. Private schools are the only ones that cost you. But how do you choose, which school to go for, which area to go for?
So before we were going to move, we had shortlisted a few cities.
Mm-hmm.
And of that, we do study, like we identify the diversity of population. That tells you a lot about the kind of kids your kid would be interacting at school.
Okay.
We research the average household income of the city or the town. That tells you the kind of household that you will be surrounded by, whether the parents would be qualified enough, or whether you would want your kids to play with them in the neighborhood park or play outside in summer and all this stuff. And the last what we factored into was our commute. If we get jobs, what would be a strategic location that the kids get good schools, as well as our commute is ideal, so we can spend more time with them once we come home.
Okay, got it. So where did you end up then?
Oh, I landed in Mississauga.
Mississauga. All right. In terms of school, a lot of people have this question that what about safety? How would you rate? And I'm not comparing it with India by any means, but there would be, in general, safety in public schools. Like the meals they have and the teachers. So how does that work? How do you research about that?
The first criteria to go by is something called as Fraser ratings.
Okay.
That tells you the average rating of the school, and that is defined again by the type of students, their extracurricular activities, and all the other factors that go in it.
Okay.
So one is, of course, Fraser rating. Second, if you have friends, you can ask them. But one thing is assured, that here nobody can just get up and be a teacher. There is a board certified process
Right.
to become a teacher.
Right.
And teachers here are well respected and well qualified. They're probably overqualified for their jobs at some times. Also, every school has a nurse on call. They have counselors available. It's very modern. The teaching style is very offbeat. Like, we don't say 2 plus 2 is 4. There'll be 10 ways they'll teach why 2 plus 2 is 4.
Okay.
And if you say 2 plus 2 is 4, the kid is not going to accept that. They need logic. They're taught to reason. They are taught to speak up. And I wouldn't criticize the way we are taught in India, but I just feel the approach to it is very different and something that I would prefer here.
And what about cost? So what are the expenses that are associated with the school?
So if you go for public schooling essentially is free. The cost at the maximum would be if you want certain meals to be provided, or if you would select for bus transportation. Then certain areas, if you cross a certain distance, then that has a cost attached to it. And the third thing is, if both the parents are working, then there would be before care and after care cost associated with schooling. Say, for example, both the husband and wife have to reach office by 8, and the school starts at 8, but you have to leave the house at 7. So there are institutions who provide services where you drop off your kid at a designated time. They take care of your kids. They make sure they're ready for school. They drop them at school. Once, say, the school ends at 3, you don't come home until 5 or 6 p.m. based on what your office hours are. They pick your kid up from school. They make sure they have a snack. They even help them with homework if you request them to. So most daycares provide aftercare, before care services also. I wouldn't say all, but most of them do. Okay, got it. So that's so that would be an expense, right? That's not paid by the government. So how much would that be? It would range anywhere from $500 to $750, depending on if you're just selecting just before care, just after care, or both. Public schools are not supposed to have a wait time. Every child who lives in that township has access to public schools and public libraries the moment they get admission and get the library membership. Okay, that's good to know. So everyone would have access. And just from your experience, how much time did it take to enroll your elder one to school? So the process right now is online due to COVID, but the turnaround time was very prompt, and his admission was done in 24 to 48 hours. Wow. Okay. Yes. In 24 to 48 hours. Basically, you have to provide a list of documents, which is documents like your PR card for, in our case, we are on PR. So PR card, if you're on visa, then the relevant visa documents. You have to provide a complete immunization record showing that your child has received all the immunizations and is as per the Canadian benchmark. And the fourth would be a proof of address or something to show that you belong in this township and that the school needs to be allocated to you. This is the minimal paperwork that they need from you. In his case, there was no evaluation because he was just admitted to kindergarten. But if you're coming to senior grades, they might evaluate you. So let's move on to your other kid, and like he is not even 1. And you are working. So I know that, daycares are really expensive, especially in Toronto area. So how does that work? How do you research? Schools, we understand it's free, but how do you research a good daycare? So there is a list of daycares available on the website of City of Toronto, all the licensed home and commercial daycares. And I am actually, funny that you ask, I'm right now in the process of shortlisting a daycare for her. So what we do is we schedule tours with them. We ask them the right questions. What happens if a kid falls or a kid gets hurt? What happens when they cry? What happens if they have some medical issues? You ask all those questions when you go for the tour. Also important for the tour is that you have to see if they have any outdoor play area, because we have 6 months plus of winters. So what kind of physical stimulation would your kid be getting? Other questions to ask would be if they provide live camera feed access at a small fee. If they allow home cooked meals, like I, for one, even when my younger one was going to daycare in US, from day one, I give him the typical Indian mom that I am. I give him 4 dabbas: breakfast, lunch, snack, evening snack. So because I would like to know what my kid is eating and what goes in his food. So all these other questions and all these other criteria that you select, your daycare is based upon. So again, in daycares, you have an option of licensed home-based daycares, which is run by sometimes families or sometimes a group of individuals. which usually have a capacity of not more than 8 to 10 people if
Okay.
it's a decent sized daycare. It can be 2 kids, but I haven't seen more than 8 to 10 kids in a home based daycare. Then you have all these commercial daycares wherein they have huge facilities, they have a teacher to student ratio that they have to maintain by the government mandated standards, and they cater to all age groups.
Okay.
Then third is Montessori. Montessori is based on a very different learning where kids learn from older kids. Most Montessori takes kids after 2 or 2.5 years. So the kids of 2.5 to 5 years play together. The younger ones learn from the elder ones, and the elder ones learn how to lead the younger ones, kind of a concept. It's a very different and a unique concept. But they don't believe in nurturing. Like if your kid is crying, they won't come and give them a hug unless and until it's really a meltdown. They will try to reason their feelings out. What made you upset? Why are you crying? So it's a little different than traditional approach, but I have seen kids having great success with Montessori as well. And last but not the least, the most expensive option is having a personal nanny coming to your place.
And how much would all these options cost?
A home daycare would cost you anywhere about $1,000 to $1,100.
Okay.
A commercial daycare would cost you anywhere from, I would say, $1,200 to $1,700.
Okay.
A Montessori would be on a higher side of $1,500 to $1,800 plus.
Okay.
And a nanny would be, if it's a full-time nanny working 40 hours just like you do, the average cost would come to about $3,000.
Oh, wow. So it varies from 1,000 to 3,000 depending on what care you give. And most of the parents, I'm assuming, would go for the first two. So un dono mein se, how do you choose? Like one is 1,000, the other one is 1,600. So like what is the difference between, as per your research, between commercial
So
ones and the...
sometimes it's also based on the fact of availability. Like most commercial daycares I see have 6 months plus of wait time.
Oh, wow.
Yes, good commercial daycares have at least 4 to 6 months of wait time.
Okay.
So say if I'm not working and if I land job where I have to join in 2 weeks, I just have to pick for a home daycare and wait until the commercial daycare spot opens up for me. Sometimes you also want, like in my case, if my younger one, I would prefer going her to a home-based daycare because I know the provider has less kids. So at least where she gets to a point where she needs a fixed curriculum and all of it, I would rather have her in a home-based daycare. But at the same time, I would also evaluate on how the transition works for her because the kids don't do very well with the change in providers also. They take some time in getting used to the providers also. So all those factors, if the home daycare doesn't take kids after 18 months, and if I'm already enrolling at 12 months, means I'm seeing that I have to change in 6 months versus the commercial daycare, my kid can go on until she's 4 years old.
Yeah, that's true. But they're also regulated, right? The home daycares.
Yes, they are, but their rules are not as stringent because of the less number of students. They are licensed. Most home-based daycares are licensed.
Moving on to medical, and that's something like we are a couple, so we have not even had a family doctor in the last 5 months. But that's not the same with kids, right? So you need some kind of an emergency attention. So how did you work that?
So here, pediatrician is only for special needs. Family doctor can take care of basic well visits for everyone. So what we did was we had done our research of good family doctors who are open to accepting new patients because a lot of doctors who are old enough in practice are not accepting new patients due to recent inflow of immigrants. Then we also read the reviews online and we had seen the proximity to the house because you can't have a family doctor 2 hours from your location. So we had considered all those criteria and we had shortlisted 2 family doctors, and we had also received a couple of referrals for pediatricians because even the pediatricians are specialists. A smallest need could come, and it's better if you have younger kids, then you register with the pediatricians the moment you come in. Because it's easier in case of emergencies.
Okay, no, makes sense. And how much does it cost? Like, is it expensive?
So if you were covered by OHIP, then the visits and the immunizations are free. The only cost is for prescription medications and the dental or the vision insurance if you are getting from your employer or unless you choose to take a private insurance.
So guys, एक बहुत important चीज जो हम cover करना चाहते थे वो था child care benefit. So Ontario government या किसी भी जो Canadian government है, they actually give some money every month for every child that you have. But वो eligibility जो होती है और कितने पैसे मिलते हैं वो अलग होते हैं. It depends on your income and the number of kids you have and your personal circumstances. So basically just go to this official website, मैं link description में डाल दूंगा, and then you just click on how much you can get. You click on calculate your payments. यहाँ पे जाओ, सारी details डालो calculate करने का, and you will know कि कितना आपको मिलेगा per month. The maximum payment that you can get is for kids under 6 years 563.75 per month, and if you have kids between 6 to 17, you'll get 475.66 per month, and you get it for every child that you have. So income पे depend करता, like I said. So यहाँ पे जाओ, calculate your how much you get, अपनी details वगैरह डालो, and you will know how much you can get as childcare benefit. One thing that you alluded to when we were talking, before this, and it was your related to your elder son, um, and him thinking that you have taken a decision without including him into the mix. So
Yes.
how does that dynamic work? I understand that this is not a problem for smaller kids, but kids who are mature enough to understand what's happening.
So, like I said, we were in US. We the move was very much planned, and as soon as we got a PR and when we were in the talks, we would just casually ask him, "How about you feel moving there? How you feel about making new friends?" And every time he used to just shut the conversation. Why do you need to go? I'm happy here. I have my friends. I have the places that I go to. I have my favorite restaurants. And mind you, this kid is just 4.5, but they have their minds of their own at some point. And he just thought probably we are just trying to gauge him, or and then when things started packing up, that's when he was like, "Oh, what's exactly going on here?" We tried to tell him that we are going to Canada. It's good for all of us. Mom and Daddy will get to spend more time with you. And he's a fan of Paw Patrol, so we told him, Paw Patrol is in Canada, so you. And we just kind of used to try to get excited for him. He was a soccer player, so he's a soccer player. So we used to tell him there are larger soccer fields there and all of it. But somehow he just couldn't understand the concept of move. He always thought it's going to be very temporary. Even while we were under quarantine, he used to be like, "Oh, this is fun. When are we going home? Oh, I'm happy. I'm done with this vacation. When are we going home?" And then we used to tell him, "Bubs, there is no home. You remember Mommy and Daddy told you about moving to Canada?" He's like, "Yeah." "You remember you all excited to meet Paw Patrol?" "Oh, yes. But I'm done. It's okay. I don't want to meet them. I want to go play back with my friends."
Oh
So
no!
so the point being that at 4, he could figure out that he's missing something.
Right.
We tried to make him all excited about the fun stuff. But for, for us as parents, we do feel guilty of making him do that. But deep in our hearts, we know it's the right choice for them. All I would say is make your kids look forward to it. Make them excited about whatever way they can. Don't let them resent this place for what it's taking away from them. Make them look forward to it for what this place and this country has to offer. They might be able to figure it out sooner than later. But as parents, we know we are doing the best we can given the circumstances that we are in.
No, this is amazing, Chandni. This, I'm sure that a lot of people would benefit from this. And we touched upon some very important topics. And you are like God sent to us because you have both, a child who's going to a school and a very small, kid who is not even 1 year. So you have a mix of both and the best of both. So thanks a lot for doing this. And I'm
The
sure
pleasure is mine.
guys, I hope you like this video. अगर वीडियो बढ़िया लगी तो प्लीज लाइक करके जाना है। चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं करा तो प्लीज कर लो। आगे आने वाले दिनों में बहुत सारे व्लॉग्स, बहुत सारे इंटरव्यूज और बहुत सारी ऐसी नॉलेजेबल वीडियोस हम बनाते रहेंगे। मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय।